This is the Hollywood Outsider, weekly entertainment podcast. For this week, we are looking at upcoming releases including Jurassic Park 3D and Evil Dead. We're going to review Olympus Has Fallen. Our From the Outside In topic this week, does our geek love help or hinder our love of a film? We're going to have the latest movie and TV news, including our own trivia segments. My name is Aaron Peterson, and with me today are my fellow hoes, Justin McCumber.
Aaron, thank you for having me on your show.
Thanks for being here, Justin. Brian Williams.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
It plays much better when you play it right. And Scotty Clark.
Hey, how's it going, man?
That sounded like an Our Gang character.
What? Was it?
What was
it
it
from?
It sounded like Shake and Bake to me.
Yeah, Talladega Nights.
Oh, okay.
Brian's biography.
Home movies is what I like to call them.
Oh, what's new? Anybody got
On
anything?
you like a spider monkey.
Here's my sons, Walker and Texas Ranger.
Help me, Tom Cruise.
You know, we looked up that theme song. I don't know why. A friend of mine, Tyler, and I looked up the theme song to Walker, Texas Ranger.
Why?
It's really sad. Like, it's just not even remotely good.
I don't remember. Well, was
Is
it
he
anything
sad
from that?
like he lost his wife and his dog and his truck, or sad it's just so poorly done?
It's just so poorly done. I mean, it's worse than the show, and that's saying something.
That show lasted for like 47 years.
Seriously.
It
That
did.
show couldn't have been that bad.
When my grandma was very ill, that's all she would watch, Walker, Texas Ranger. I saw about 80 episodes of that fucking show. I never want to see it again. Never want to see it
There's one
again.
of those late night talk show hosts that does like random.
I think it's Conan.
Is
does
it
that.
Conan? Random quote from Walker, Texas Ranger. And I think they had Haley Joel Osment on one, and it's like just a clip of him saying, "Walker says I got AIDS."
I remember that one.
And that's all they showed.
Yep.
No context. It was hilarious.
That was the deep story of the week. Anybody see the Riddick super teaser? They didn't even give us a full teaser. They gave us like 22 seconds of a trailer of a movie.
I saw it, yeah.
What do you guys think?
It looks like it's a little more akin to Pitch Black as opposed to the new Riddick movie.
Yeah, big time.
It was just a big old taint tickle.
Wasn't it? I got all excited thinking, oh, it's going to be like a 2 minutes of Riddick, and it's like 22 seconds. It's almost
Dude,
like...
that's like my sex life.
Wow.
No, it's a little longer than that.
Well, yeah, if I think of something else.
Wow. Let's get to movie news first off.
Quickly.
Robert Redford is in talks for Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I love that they're going for this caliber of actor to put in these movies. For the longest time, I think some of the reason these movies failed was because they never could quite get that top shelf kind of guy, but or gals. But the success of these movies has really proven that they're a moneymaker, but they're also well done. And Robert Redford is, an incredibly famous actor. He's been in God knows how many critically acclaimed films.
He's Robert fucking
he's Robert
Redford.
fucking Redford. So yeah, get him in. Apparently they're asking, they wanted to play the role of a senior leadership role in S.H.I.E.L.D., which is great. So they're not going to try and squeeze him, into some kind of costume. But they've already said that the new Captain America movie was going to be more of a political thriller. Robert Redford's perfect for that. So damn, yeah. I hope he takes the role, and I'd like to see that kind of gravity brought to a comic book film.
The Avengers had that little kind of secret panel of people that Nick Fury was kind of taking orders from. So maybe you think he's part of that?
Maybe, but those guys looked like they were more your world leader types, whereas this senior leadership sounds like maybe the guy Fury has to report to, say, immediately. I'm not sure. I hope he's not just a face on the screen.
I agree with you too, Justin, about I think it sounds like a really good cast, but I want to play devil's advocate for just a second. These type of movies are geared towards one of two audiences, I think. I think geeks like us or I should say more specifically geeks like you that read the comic books, because I haven't read the comic books. It's geared towards that, or the younger audience that is now into this comic book, movies, supernatural kind of thing. Do that younger audience even know who Robert Redford is at this point? What's the last movie he was in?
Yeah, maybe not. But, he's got a movie coming up here shortly, but maybe it won't be his name that will get them, but hopefully the caliber of his performance that will get them.
I think when they cast Robert Redford, they're going for the older audience. They're trying to get...
You think that's fair? Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, he's a respected actor, and a lot of older people like us, not like you, young.
It gives it lends more credibility than really. I guess it's already. I think it's very credible in itself, but you attach Robert Redford to it. Now you, like you say, you may draw in some older crowds that probably would have just sloughed this movie off and just been like, whatever.
Yeah.
But
he's adding a certain air of credibility to a comic book movie. Just his name.
So you're saying that the older generation might go see this now?
I'm thinking
because Robert Redford's
I would think a lot of people that are against comic book movies because I ain't going to see that. I'm going to stay here and play on my lawn. Those guys might go.
The Walker Texas Ranger types.
Exactly. They might go because Robert Redford's in it.
Okay.
His name brings that. Roland Emmerich is planning his next trip to Earth with Independence Day 2 and 3. Bill Pullman has already confirmed Big Willie style is not just yet.
I'm really not 100% sure how to feel about this. But
isn't that like one of your favorite movies?
I love Independence Day. I get a lot of flack for that because it's cheesy as hell. It's
a great movie.
Agree, but
I love that movie.
Thank you. I thought I was going to be alone in that. But here's the story. The mothership sends a distress signal out to the homeworld before it's destroyed in the original film. And that's why we've got 20 years later, because it's taken them that long to get back via wormholes and whatnot. So, and basically Earth has to defend itself again from basically the reinforcements that they called in. So, now Bill Pullman isn't the only recurring actor. Also Ross Bagley, who he played Will Smith's stepson in the movie. He also was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Played his little cousin, the little
Fresh
kid.
Prince of Bel-Air.
Bel-Air. Did I say Will-Air?
I like that title better.
That was a spinoff that only lasted a few episodes.
Yeah, only a half episode. Anyway, he's going to be in it, and I looked him up. He actually hasn't been in anything since 2004.
I believe it.
I don't even know what he looks like. But like I said, I hope it's good, but I'm really worried that it's not. They're saying there's going to be, like you said, there's going to be 2, and the second one's supposed to end in like a huge cliffhanger that's going to make you want to come back for the third one, but I don't know.
It's the Empire Strikes Back of Independence Day flicks?
No, I don't think it's. I can't imagine it's to that level, but I think one more I might be okay with, but 2 more just seems.
Do you think the aliens have updated their antivirus software before they come the second time?
Let's hope so, because they can go in there and do their stuff.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
That was your Jeff Goldblum? Is that what it was?
That's the best I could do in short notice.
Wow.
Mac laptops have come a long way in these last 20 years. So
that's true.
These bitches better look out.
Yeah, we're ready for them. Who else wants to see it? Does anybody really want another Independence Day? I mean, it's been like almost 20 years.
Really, a lot of the reason why this movie stuck with people, at least, well, this is for me anyway, is that at the time, we were taking a little bit of a step with special effects. Mm-hmm. So to see stuff like the White House blowing up was kind of mind-blowing at the time. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those kind of landmark type movies that, like you say, it is a little bit hokey, especially after you've watched it, a dozen times. But it's one of those movies where it's really the special effects that had a real lasting impression on you. Now that we've had 20 years since, since the last one, I don't know if it needs to be done.
And they killed off the best character.
Randy Quaid?
No Randy Quaid. No, my money.
He's available.
They're going to have to find some way of resurrecting his ass.
Like a dream sequence?
Maybe, or maybe they find some alien technology and they find a scrap of his hair and a...
Oh, I hope
in
so.
the down plane.
They
I hope so.
Like the L.A. County Jail or something first, don't they?
Yeah, they got to bail him out first.
I think he's still in jail or prison or something.
Oh,
he's dead because he flew up into that fucking laser beam. There probably ain't much left, but he was the best part.
He was.
All right, the government money is being spent exactly where it should be. Apparently, they're doing a study, and underage moviegoers find getting into rated R movies is harder than ever. Yeah, I'm glad we spent our money for this shit. So the question is this: why are R-rated films still so obviously marketed to kids and teens?
Well, because that's where the money's at. Or the discretionary money is supposed to be at. It's just this weird dichotomy that and I think this is in particular an American issue. I don't know why that is, but it seems that when it comes to youthfulness and whether it's violence or sexuality, there is this incredible division between what we will allow our kids to see or not see, and yet how we market things at them, how we present things to them. I mean, no matter what genre you're talking about, overhyped sexuality and overhyped violence is constantly thrown in their face. But yet we want to, in other ways, hide that. I don't understand it. I don't know why we do the things that we do. I do think it's a particularly American conundrum, but it's just one of those weird things we as a young country still kind of have to sort out. I wish I had answers, but I don't.
Do you ever wonder if they should just stop?
Yes.
Just stop.
I don't wonder it. I wish it.
Like some of the ratings
you look
are
at other
silly.
countries. Say you look at Canada or you look at Europe, and please everybody, before you start, going, oh, you socialist, whatever. You look at these other countries and you look at the kinds of things that they put into the air without really any thought, any hullabaloo, whether it's the advertisements on their television, the amount of sexuality they watch. There's all sorts of things that they're exposed to. Alcohol. They're exposed to these things at an earlier age. It's not a big issue. And so somehow their children are able to grow up without a lot of the sexuality hang-ups. And I would think a lot of the alcohol issues that I think our kids kind of suffer from, because on the one hand, we try and hide them from it, yet on the other, we don't. And there's just, like I said, this disconnect between how we're handling these issues. And I really wish we just sometimes would just stop.
Yeah, because the Irish are notorious for their moderation.
Well, okay, yeah, sure. But the overriding point is that we make big issues out of things that I don't think we really should be making big issues out of. I wish we could put our energies towards more productive ends and not worrying about is little Johnny or Susie seeing a boobie.
And I think a lot of the problem with that is that the fact that nudity and violence and gratuitous sexuality is forbidden. If you label these movies as PG-13, they wouldn't get as high. They wouldn't have that attractiveness to kids. Oh, I can't see it, so I'm going to want to go do it.
I agree that there's some of that. I mean, you go to the UK and there's nudity on general television.
Yeah, it's like in the commercials. I think they made fun of that in like that movie Eurotrip. Like there was like an orange juice commercial, and there was just girls standing there topless, and that was normal. They thought it was so weird to us.
There's definitely something to be said for that.
And because it's everywhere, kids don't care. They don't. It's not like I have to go out and hide this from mom and dad, or have to go out and seek it. It's there, so it's not that big a deal. I'm not going to seek it out.
Like, without getting too sidetracked on history and politics, it's got a lot to do with our past and the Puritans and all their. Basically, they had a much larger influence on America than in our everyday society than people even realize. So we're a bunch of uptight folks, man. I mean, hey, we value guns more than, or maybe, I don't know, depending on how you look at it, we value guns more than we do nudity and drinking, or vice versa, depending on whatever.
Smoking in a movie will get you PG-13 before a gun in a movie. That's a true story. Mm-hmm. Okay, The Rock. Let's go to more fun stuff. We're fun. The Rock stated that there is talk of a possible spin-off film for his Fast and Furious character Luke Hobbs in the future. Who wants it?
I don't know if I do or not.
Really?
I'm kind of starting to think the kind of the teat of this movie cow's got to be a little bit sore from milking this out. If this goes forward, I love The Rock. I love The Rock's movies, and I love the Fast and Furious franchise. I think they're phenomenal together. But I think he's in this role as Hobbs. I think he's much better as a piece of this puzzle instead of building a whole other puzzle off, with him.
That's the most disturbing analogy I've heard in a long time. But I got to say, I do agree with you.
You prefer goats or sheep?
That's the problem. As much as I would like to say that this wouldn't work without all the main characters, or all the main characters from the films, it is The Rock, and it will sell.
Yeah, absolutely. It will do just fine. I'm not saying that it would suck. I'm not saying that it would bomb. I just think that his character is better with this ensemble.
Oh, I agree.
There's nothing that says, though, that if he gets his own movie, that they wouldn't assemble a new ensemble around him that could be just as good. I mean, there's a lot of talented actors out there that need work. His character is great. I think you could put a good team around him, and it could be just as good, if not better. Mm-hmm. Depending on who you cast.
I think if they went a spin-off route, they wouldn't have anything to do with the streetcar racing era. I think it would just be like him going after wanted fugitives.
Right, and then it's just then it's just another Dwayne Johnson movie.
Yeah. It just has that name on it, and that makes it recognizable.
Well, way to stomp on it, Brian. Like a negative Nelly.
Luke Hobbs, what he probably does is he leaves the government to go work as an advertiser for arm butter. Look at these guns.
Jesus. All right, MGM is
I got a crush. I'm sorry.
MGM is partnering with GK Films to bring forth a Tomb Raider reboot. This will not follow any of the storyline from the previous Double D films. This will instead follow the storyline from the recent
Coming
reboot.
back to boobies.
Yeah, it's going to follow the storyline from the recent game reboot.
All right, I love that you gave this story to me because it gives me an opportunity to talk about video games without getting the evil eye from you, which is awesome.
It depends on how much you talk about video games.
Yes, but for you non-gamers out there, Tomb Raider, if you've been living under a rock for the past 20-plus years, it's a video game series from the late 90s that started in the late 90s, and it recently got a video game reboot, which, on a side note, serious game of the year contender for me. But that game is actually a reboot, like Aaron said, of the series. It kind of does an origin story of how she became who she is. The question for me, like you said, it is going to be an origin story. I wonder if they're going to go the same route. If they're going to go,
that's the impression I got. Yeah.
Is that what it is? And if that's the case, it's a good thing in my opinion because I think that the direction that they're going with that is really good. The Tomb Raider of the late '90s and even the movies with Angelina Jolie are very her being over sexualized and very just kick-ass woman and that kind of thing, and that's good. But what we're seeing from the game, at least, is that she's seen her roots and how she started out and became who she is, and I really would like to see that in a film as well.
And they don't have a huge emphasis on her breasts.
They don't.
Which is nice. She actually wears pants. She doesn't wear hot pants.
Right. Well, doesn't she wear like a tank top and a shirt over that? So it's not.
Baby steps.
Just thin lycra between her breasts and the air.
And she's wearing pants, like not those hot shorts or whatever the hell they are.
Didn't in the game? Isn't it an actress that did all the motion capture and the voice work? I wonder if they just cast her in the movie too.
She's on Grey's Anatomy. She did a great job in the game.
Yeah, cast her in the movie then. If she looks like her and sounds like her, it seems like a perfect kind of translation.
And I really want to see it because I do like the storyline, and I actually like the Angelina Jolie, the first movie. I didn't like the second one, whatever that was called, The Suck of Life or something like that. But I look forward to seeing her reboot. I always thought that would be cool to see a female Indiana Jones. That's really what it should be.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. Speaking of Fast and Furious, it kind of sucks being a snail. It just pretty much takes forever to go anywhere. So Turbo, which is the latest from DreamWorks, follows a snail called, get this, Turbo, who dreams of going fast. When he miraculously ends up with the gift of speed, he teams up with some streetwise, tricked out guys and tries to achieve his dream of winning the Indy 500. Justin, I know you love cartoons, so what you think about this one?
I think it looks like a lot of fun. I didn't have any hopes whatsoever going into watching the trailer. I mean, it's a snail. I didn't really care for cars all that much from Pixar, so anything called Turbo that seemed to be about racing really just didn't have my attention. But I put it in, watched it, laughed my ass off. I was really shocked at how natural sounding Ryan Reynolds was in that trailer, because a guy who's really known quite a bit for his good looks and his appearance, I wouldn't have thought could just stand behind a mic in a booth and really deliver a performance. But it kind of makes me realize that he is actually a good actor. It's not just about his appearance. He could really deliver a line. And even when it's just a snail that those words are coming out of, he does a good job. It looks funny. The story looks interesting. Snoop Dogg's a little bit in it was hilarious. I love that. I love the cast. It looks really good.
I'm so glad to hear you say that because I thought I was going to be totally alone in this. I've been bummed out with the kids' movies as of late between The Croods and the Adam Sandler vampire one that you reviewed, and a couple of these other ones that just had no interest. This made me smile. At first, I was like, "Wait, what? Like the concept
a revved
of
up
it?
Snail?
It seemed like the one joke from Despicable Me about something that is supposed to go fast and is slow. Like they were doing it for a whole movie." But the whole thing just made me smile from about halfway through to the end of it. I was laughing out loud watching it. I think it looks great.
Ryan Reynolds, his sarcasm lends itself to animation.
Yeah.
So I think it works great. It's like Van Wilder as a snail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you guys. This appeals to me. I mean, I do like cars and racing, not necessarily NASCAR, but just going fast in general. So, I kind of like this. I really don't get excited too much about these. Most of these kind of movies, I kind of say, well, I'll just watch it on Blu-ray or something or cable later. But this one actually kind of appeals to me. So I might actually check this out. Turbo actually opens up on July 19th later this summer. And finally, we got our first look at the Wolverine. Oh, everybody's favorite mutton chop cigar chomping badass is back after meeting a mysterious person from his past. He is thrust into a physical and mental struggle with his immortality that may end up actually being the death of him in the end. Taken from one of the more popular stories in the X-Men mythos and written by Christopher McQuarrie, the Wolverine is bound to satisfy the hardcore fan and the casual moviegoer. I don't even need to, I mean, Aaron, I know this is something that I know all four of us want to see, so there's no use in even asking that question, but what did the trailer do for you?
It's fucking Wolverine versus ninjas. I'm in.
Exactly.
What more do you want? And
Wolverine plus ninjas equals awesome.
Exactly. And the fact that Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote Jack Reacher, Usual Suspects, and a lot of other shit, the fact that he wrote it makes me want to see it even more, honestly. I mean, I didn't think the trailer was fantastic, but just seeing it, I'm like, oh, I'm there.
It looks serious. It looks dark. It looks fantastic. It looks like everything that the first one tried to be and failed at. I really, though, cannot wait to see the Silver Samurai.
I get tired of hearing that. I thought the first one was fun.
I like
it. It was fun, but the Wolverine is a dark character.
Right.
You read his comics and then you put those up against some of the other X-Men comics, and there is quite a division in tone between Wolverine. Because think of it, the guy's weapons are knives that shoot from his hands. Okay, he doesn't kill things at a distance. He doesn't walk through walls. He slices people apart.
And he's a loner that's been
exactly
alone by himself in the woods for like 100 years.
Yeah, he's over 100 years old. He cuts people apart. This is a dark guy. Mm-hmm. And so in a film that's really about him, I want some of that darkness to come through. And there were a few moments in that first movie that kind of had it, but it still had too much of that lollipop flavoring that the X-Men films have. And for the X-Men, that's fine because it's a team film filled with all sorts of characters. But Wolverine needs a little darkness on his own. This one looks like it's going to give it to me.
All right.
And that's one of the reasons why they should get rid of Bryan Singer, but I digress.
Well, I like Bryan Singer for the X-Men movies, but for a Wolverine movie on his own, I want somebody, who can really deliver more of that darkness.
It definitely seems like they're rebooting that whole series. Like they're almost pretending the last movie didn't happen.
Kinda, which is a little sad because I did want to see Deadpool get his own movies, and I don't know if that's going to happen now.
You guys can check out these trailers and a lot more from some recent episodes at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. If you got anything you want us to talk about, or if you just got any questions that you want us to answer, you can also reach us at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. You can get us on Twitter at H_outsider, Facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsiders. Did I say slider? Or
the outslider.
The outslider.
He's safe.
Me and Justin were kind of branching out again. We're branching out on our branching out. That's
nice.
So, or you can also email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. I just
oh Lord,
trying to get through this quick. All right.
Obviously.
Stump the Hoe.
Stump the Hoe. Each week, one of our hosts poses a trivia question to the remaining hosts in an attempt to stump their fellow hoes as well as you listening. This week, it is Justin's turn. Stump us. All
right, guys. Speaking of Wolverine and the original film, the origin film for Wolverine, the character of his brother, of Victor Creed, who does go on to become Sabretooth, was, of course, played by Liev Schreiber. Originally, some other actors, though, were considered for the role. Who in this list was considered for the role? Was it A, Triple H, B, Carl Urban, C, Ray Stevenson, or D, Dominic Purcell? Scotty?
I'm going to say Dominic Purcell.
Okay. Aaron?
I'm going to say Triple H because it sounds ridiculous.
Okay. And Brian?
Man, that's good because I got. Oh, golly, because I can see.
Dramatic pauses don't make you more or less wrong, man.
Or he's Googling it, one of the two.
Yeah, you can't Google, fucker. Just answer.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna go with Triple H.
All right, and the answer is B. Carl Urban.
Carl Urban, really?
Ew.
Carl Urban and Gerard Butler both were up for the role.
I could see Gerard Butler. That would have been great.
He's hairy enough, but ugh.
That's why I didn't
hairy
choose him.
enough.
That's why I went with Carl Urban instead, because I thought he'd be a little more of a throw off. I watched Punisher Warzone again last night, and Ray Stevenson in that movie, damn, he's just such a badass in that film.
He does do a good job. He really does.
He could have been Victor Creed if they'd have hired him.
God, that's such a bad movie. Why would you watch that again?
It's not a good movie, but he does a good job.
It is so blissfully violent and bloody. The little kid in me just thrills every time he punches it, caves a face in.
Because he doesn't even say a word for the first 20 minutes of the movie.
And isn't that great? Because it's the Punisher. The motherfucker's not a soliloquy machine. He shouldn't talk a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the first ever pairing of the words soliloquy and machine put next to each other.
Ever.
All right.
That's Justin McCumber, people. Buy his books now.
Thank you.
More information on that later in the podcast.
I just like hearing soliloquy with the southern accent, too. That kind of...
Soliloquy. Now let's go to the big screen. We review any new releases.
Sounds like fucking Gump.
Wow. Bubba Gump.
Jenny.
Jenny, why'd you give me the AIDS, Jenny? All right, let's go to the big screen. We review any new releases this week. Olympus Has Fallen is the only one we're going to talk about. Scotty, what is it about?
All right, pretty, as I said last week, cookie-cutter story here. But Gerard Butler plays Mike Banning. He's a Secret Service agent who's also friends with the President of the United States. Must be nice. Mm-hmm. Played by Aaron Eckhart.
Great name.
Yeah, Aaron.
That's a great name.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Shut up, will you?
Keep doing this every fucking time that name comes up.
I'm sorry. It's a
Is this
great
what I
name.
should expect?
Anyway, he's on a protection mission at the beginning of the film, and it goes awry. Banning finds himself disgraced, even though I don't think what he did deserves to be he deserves to be shunned or anything. But anyway, fast forward 18 months, and we now find those pesky North Koreans are at it again. This time, rather than attacking the strategic Pacific Northwest, they decide to attack the heart of the United States and hold the White House hostage, which is as ridiculous as it sounds.
The North Koreans are fucking amazing.
They're studying something, but anyway, despite being off duty, Banning finds himself in the midst of a firefight and eventually the only American left in the building who isn't being held hostage. He's in contact with the U.S. government and is the country's last hope against falling apart from the seams. Now, to me, this was a cheesy blend of some of the best parts of Die Hard, Air Force One, and Taken 2, and I mean that in a good way. Mm-hmm. But
Taken 2, not Taken to the streets, not Taken 1.
Taken 2. But Aaron, you saw it as well. What did you think of the story?
I think it's Die Hard in the White House, really.
Yeah.
And I think Brian called it. Brian, you should get a job in Hollywood because this should have been the fucking Die Hard movie. This totally should have been the Die Hard movie. No deep story, nothing ridiculous. I mean, the whole story is ridiculous. How he gets into the White House, fucking ridiculous. The fact that the army takes so long to get there, ridiculous. But I still thought it was a fun story. I really did. And once he's in there and he's taking them down, and they're down in the bunker, and some of the elements that come into play that you imagine would come into play in this actual environment, I thought were handled actually pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
Once he got in there.
Yeah, once he got in.
The ridiculousness of how that White House gets taken down and then how he gets in there is a little, come on.
I think you have to suspend belief just, to look at that.
Right.
I mean, for that to happen, it's going to take a ridiculous amount of convenient circumstances, I guess is the word I would use.
Like, why does it take the Army 15 minutes to get to the White House?
Dude, they're far away. They don't just stay there on the front lawn.
Are you sure?
Yeah, apparently.
Traffic's a bitch.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I liked it. It was a good story. It was serviceable is what I would call it.
That's a good way to put
Get
it.
it? Secret serviceable.
Secret serviceable. Now the acting, there were some pretty high-profile actors in there. Obviously, Gerard Butler and Aaron Eckhart, we already mentioned. Morgan Freeman shows up to play the Secretary of State, who winds up assuming the role of
Morgan
president.
Freeman shows up to play Morgan Freeman.
Pretty much. I was actually surprised by the performance of Dylan McDermott. I've never seen him play anything but morose, I think, in everything I've seen.
But he's a little lively in this one?
A little bit. He was, because I've seen him come out of his shell a little bit, he surprised me. What did you think of the acting?
I I don't think he didn't really surprise me. I mean, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, and I think he's actually pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Eckhart, I know he's in all the commercials, but he's hardly in the movie. And when he is there, he's usually tied up, or he's doing not in a good way, ladies. He's usually just doing his "I'm the president," but it's not the Harrison Ford and Air Force One president. I mean, he's tied up. He's not really kicking anybody's ass. Melissa Leo, who plays the Secretary of State, I think it was. She's the lady that's down there with him.
Mm-hmm.
She's fantastic. She did a great job. She's the one that impressed me the most. But Gerard Butler, old crooked lip, he shines through, man. He's done some silly shit lately, doing those romantic comedies where he's just not that charming, and I just can't get over his crooked lip. He's back to business, foul mouth, vicious as fuck. He out Bruce Willis as Bruce Willis.
He had some of the best one-liners in a movie I've seen in a while.
He did. They made this to be the new Die Hard, and kicked ass. What'd you think of the production? Like, that's really what this movie's about.
Yeah, I mean, there's no complaints about the direction per se. I mean, the action was very easy to see as opposed to a lot of movies where you have these way too up-close hand-to-hand combat things and you can't see what's going on. The only thing that I really wish is I wish there were a big more set-piece moments. There were some at the very beginning with the planes and the Washington Monument and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you could weave that into the story, honestly, because once you get in, it's most everything kind of takes place inside. So I can't really complain about it because I don't know how they could possibly do that. But
I think Antoine Fuqua does a great job. Honestly, surprised the fuck out of me when I went and saw it. I wasn't expecting much. I've seen a few of his movies. Training Day. What was Tears of the? What was the one that he did with Bruce Willis? Tears of the Sun. Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called? He's a great action director. The movie does start off with a lot of set pieces setting up the White House. But once he's in there, it's supposed to be a claustrophobic, kind of die-hardish movie, and I think it does great. It's like little one-on-one encounters. Mm-hmm. He manages to take out about 45 North Koreans all by himself in a house that I don't... Even it's the White House, I don't think it's a fucking Mall of America, but he seems to find a lot of room to run around. Yeah. But it's just one of those movies that you're going to end up watching on TNT every time it shows up in 2 years. Very, very bloody. I mean, the action really feels like he's fucking somebody up. It's not like a PG-13 movie. I mean, it's rated hard R. Mm-hmm. And it's not that quick-cut Michael Bay shit. I actually understood what the hell's going on the whole time. Liked it.
Outside of some of the special effects, this is pretty much exactly what I wanted from this movie. Mm-hmm. But again, that's not really a fault of the film. You can't do that when it's supposed to be a claustrophobic movie, like you said. It's a ridiculous story to sit back, enjoy the ride, with a bucket of popcorn. It's nothing that's going to win Oscars or anything like that, but it was just a good ride. I was originally going to give it about a $6 out of $10, but I bumped it to $7 for some of the best one-liners. Seriously, I was repeating and walking out of the theater with my buddy I was seeing it with. So
I'll tell you what, most fun action movie I've seen in a while. Start to finish, I had a blast. If $10 is the full price of admission, I give it $8.
Nice.
I had a fun time. Mm-hmm. Now let's go to box office. The Croods was number one. The Croods. Cavemen took it over for $43.6 million. Olympus Has Fallen did better than A Good Day to Die Hard, which is really sad for Bruce Willis, with $30.3 million. So it was number two. That's actually a pretty big hit. Gerard Butler really needed one. Oz held up number three with $21.5 million for $177 million total. They're talking sequel. The Call, number four with $8.9 million. And Admission, that Tina Fey and Paul Rudd movie, $6.1 million. So not so much of a hit. Spring Breakers, by the way, $4.8 million. It's almost made its money back already. It was a real low-budget James Franco flick.
All right, guys. We have five films. So we're going to try and rush through at least the first three of these. April 5th, Six Souls, also known as Shelter overseas, where it first started releasing in theaters back in 2010, is a thriller directed by Mans Marland and Bjorn Stein, starring Julianne Moore and Jonathan Rhys Meyers. This movie is available for rental on iTunes currently, and it will be in limited release on April 5th. After the death of her husband, Dr. Kara Harding's faith in God has been shaken, but not her belief in science. In an attempt to get her more open to accepting unexplainable psychiatric theories, her father introduces her to Adam, a patient with multiple personalities who also takes on some of the physical characteristics of those personalities. But Kara quickly discovers that his other personalities were murder victims, and the more she finds out about Adam and his past, the closer she and her loved ones are to becoming murder victims themselves. Aaron, the genre descriptions on this movie vacillate between horror, thriller, and drama, which leads me to think that this movie probably isn't about a kid who hears ghosts. As someone who likes horror and thrillers, are you up for this, or Six Souls, six too many?
Well, I'll definitely check it out on video, but with the other release that's coming up, it's not going to make my list. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sure Julianne Moore is wonderful in it. I'll wait for video to find out how wonderful.
Well, and considering that it's been out in other countries for about the past 2 years, that doesn't give a lot of confidence that this movie is going to do well.
Not at all.
Anybody else got a thought on that one?
I actually want to see it, but like Aaron said, there's just too much else I have to go to the theater to see right now. I'm curious why it's limited. Why wasn't it released here 2 years ago, like you said? I mean,
Probably because it sucks.
Be my guess.
It doesn't look like it sucks though.
No, it looks well put together. It looks like well put together for Netflix.
Yep. Driven looked like a big time action movie, but it was a slow burn.
You mean Drive? Driven was a TV series.
There you go.
It's like you work on a movie podcast.
You hated that movie so much you can't even say the title.
That's it.
It's driven me crazy.
There was a movie called Driven, wasn't there, about Formula One racers?
Oh, there was. Yeah, I'm sorry. There was a Stallone movie too.
Yeah.
That's
I thought that was Stroker Ace.
That was Burt Reynolds, you dumbass.
All right, the next movie, The Brass Teapot. This one's also a limited release. It's a comedic thriller directed by Rama Mosley and starring Juno Temple, Michael Angarano, and Alexis Badil. She's the only actor in that list that I actually recognize the name for. Those who were fans of Gilmore Girls will know her name. This one's also available for rent on iTunes as well, supposedly based on a comic book series called The Brass Teapot, which I could find no information about whatsoever. This film is about mid-20-year-old couple who, in these difficult economic times, finds a mysterious magical brass teapot which makes them money, but at a surprising price. After realizing the teapot's powers, John and Alice must decide how far they will go to fulfill their dreams. This movie actually looks crazy in a good way. Scotty, are you ready to take a nice tall glass of brassy tea?
I actually really want to see this movie. It's a totally silly idea, but the more I watched the trailer, the more I wanted to see it. I like the fact that it's a fresh idea. It's something new. It's totally silly, but it knows it's silly. And I love the concept. I'm surprised you don't recognize Michael Angarano from Almost Famous.
Mm. Does anybody else have that little teapot song in their head when they watch the trailer?
Not even a little bit.
No, but now I feel like we should be singing songs from Beauty and the Beast.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
Don't give them ideas,
now, this is available on iTunes, and I will definitely be giving this one a rental because it looks really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really, it's done by Magnolia Pictures. They do some kind of not quite mainstream type stuff. So
quirky little art films, they do.
Right.
So probably on our next episode, I'll try and give this one a review.
I will try as well.
All right, next film, The Company You Keep. Now, this one's going into a semi-wide release, which I don't really know what the fuck that means. Brian, can you tell me what a semi-wide is?
No, that's double wide.
That's double wide. You're right. Okay, thank you.
I can explain both if you like. They're a little bit different.
The Company You Keep is a political action thriller produced and directed by Robert Redford, whom we mentioned earlier. This script was written by Lem Dobbs, based on the 2003 novel of the same name by Neil Gordon. The story centers on recent widower and single father Jim Grant, a former Weather Underground anti-Vietnam War militant wanted for a bank robbery and murder who hid from the FBI for over 30 years posing as an Albany attorney. He becomes a fugitive when his true identity is exposed by Ben Shepard, an aggressive young reporter. Grant must find his ex-lover Mimi, the one person who can clear his name before the FBI catches him. Brian, you like a taut action thriller as much as the next, bro. So is this film going to see your fine company in a seat?
I want to see this. I don't know if it's the type of movie that would get me to the theater, which of course where I live, chances are this movie's not coming to anywhere close to me. So, but let me run down a list of a few names here real quick. Robert Redford, who we mentioned earlier, Shia LaBeouf, Sam Elliott, Brendan Gleeson, Terrence Howard, Anna Kendrick, Stanley Tucci, Nick Nolte, Chris Cooper, Susan Sarandon, and that's just where like the initial list of actors stops on IMDb. So this movie has got something going on for it, So I want to see this, if nothing else, just the name recognition for pretty much every single person in this movie. Even the extras, I believe, are probably well-established, well-established people.
Even the
All
actors.
Academy Award at least nominee.
a minimum
Extras.
to get like the what is it, the SAG like minimum for this has got to be like $4 million.
Like the waiter shows up and it's Harrison Ford.
Exactly.
Would you like a drink with this?
I can't wait. I love Robert Redford movies. I really do. He does political and journalism and that sort of thing. Anytime
Remember
he's involved.
Sneakers?
What's that?
Remember Sneakers?
I love Sneakers.
Oh, so good.
Sneakers. But I really love like his political thrillers. I mean, he's got a lot of those. 3 Days of the Condor is a fantastic film, even though I know he didn't direct that one.
Did he do The Castle? Wasn't that him too?
Yeah, he was the actor in The Castle, yes. But
Right.
he's
I thought he directed that.
I thought he did too.
well, maybe he did. I don't know, but his films are wonderful. It's very much an intriguing premise generally, and he somehow keeps it riveting. I just love the way he shoots, and I love him as an actor. I do. And even though most people of this generation don't know him, that's too bad because they're missing out on a fantastic actor.
Well, if
Redford
he gets to
did
the
not
Avengers,
direct-
we'll know.
He did not direct that movie. Just
Oh,
for the
okay.
record.
I didn't think he did.
All right, our fourth movie, Jurassic Park, an IMAX 3D experience. Of course, this is a 3D re-release of the 1993. Oh, Jesus.
Does that make you
I
feel
am
old?
so old. Oh, God. 1993 film directed by a little-known guy named Steven Spielberg. It stars Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. For those who don't know what this film is about, and really... Huge advancements in scientific technology have been able to create an island full of living dinosaurs. John Hammond has invited 4 individuals, plus his 2 grandchildren, smart move, to join him at Jurassic Park. But will everything go to plan, especially when one of the park's own workers attempts to steal the dinosaur embryos and have to shut down all the electricity in the process? Now it's a race for survival with everyone located all over the island. I'm going to go ahead and let all 3 of you jump on this. It's a 20-year-old movie, which sounds ancient, but in some ways this film still works and looks better than films that are brought out today. Are all of you ready to get a T-Rex up in your face?
I really want to see this in the theater, mostly because, don't cry for me, but I wasn't allowed to see this movie in the theater when I was a kid.
Well, you were like 2, right?
I was 12. I was 13. I was 13. I was obsessed with this movie when I was a kid, and I wanted so bad to see it, and I wasn't. I bought the soundtrack. And
Cue up the violin.
I used to sit and listen to the soundtrack and look
No,
at the
he
pictures.
said Lonely Man
Anyway.
music.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, as much as I don't want to miss this opportunity to actually see this in the big screen, especially in 3D and the high definition, there's so much other things I want to see, especially this weekend. And we saw Top Gun and we saw Indiana Jones, and those were fun, but I felt walking out of those that it wasn't worth the $13 that I paid to go see those.
Fuck that. Jurassic Park I would totally see in the IMAX. 3D.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that giant screen. You got a giant dinosaur up there, and all that sound that's just blasting around you with that scream.
I've
Good.
seen this movie 30 times.
I've watched it not too long ago, and the effects still hold up. I mean,
Yeah.
it still
They really
looks
do.
fantastic. There's a couple of static shots where, like, maybe. But overall, I mean, the mix of CGI with practical animation, fantastic. Love it. Can't wait. Can't wait to see dinosaurs velociraptors in my face.
Triceratops on the big screen.
I would say that, but I can't say that. So, velociraptors in my face.
All right, guys, our 5th and final film to be talked about today, Evil Dead.
Squee! Squee!
This is a horror remake of Sam Raimi's groundbreaking.
It's contagious.
I know, I'm telling you, Sam Raimi's groundbreaking film. Fuck. Let me start this over.
Who's on
Jesus.
painkillers right
I'll
now?
just let it go.
Groundbreaking film from 1981. Fuck 1993, 81. This film is directed by Fede Alvarez and starring a bunch of young people you probably couldn't pick out of a lineup if your life depended on it, with names such as Jane Levy, Shiloh Fernandez, and Jessica Lucas. Again, for those who don't know what this film is about, and again, really?
Oh, gotta
It's
get
about 5 20-somethings friends becoming holed up in a remote cabin. When they discover the Book of the Dead, they unwittingly summon up dormant demons living in the nearby woods, which possess the youngsters in succession until only one is left intact to fight for survival. I want to see this movie so damn bad. I damn near want to go camp out in a line just to make sure I can see it opening screening. Is anyone else other than Aaron as excited as I am to see and have their souls get swallowed?
Not as excited as you guys, but I do want to see it. Aaron has actually made me set me down probably 15 years ago and made me watch the original one, and that was something else. And this one
did you have to call your parents first and make sure it was all right?
No, I was out of the house at that point.
Slip.
You did. I got the slip. You can watch it.
You got it framed somewhere, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't be more excited. Well, I guess that's a dumb statement. I could be more excited, but I can't imagine how. I've already got my ticket bought. I'm already going to be there. They're doing a 10 p.m. showing, I guess, the night before there. I'm not waiting until it actually comes out Friday. Fuck that.
I'll go with
you.
So
what's up with that, by the way? So we can't wait. We can't do midnight showings anymore?
Yeah, I don't know what the purpose of that is. Maybe so they can sucker a few more bucks out of you before it actually opens, but that's fine. The quicker I can see it, the better. I'm happy. This is one of those movies where I wish more people had seen the original, even though, I mean like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. You watch it now, you're going to think, why are they raving about this shit? But when it came out, for the time it came out, it was one of the scariest movies ever. Now, looks very cheesy. It looks kind of silly. Army of Darkness has kind of diluted it. Evil Dead 2 even diluted the horror of the first one. But if you would have seen the first one before the other ones after it, and at that time, it was one of the scariest films I had ever seen. Shining didn't do anything for me. Exorcist didn't do anything for me. Evil Dead scared the piss out of me.
One of the things I hate is recently somebody was talking about comedic or funny horror movies. Mm-hmm. And of course they mentioned Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2, but then they say in the original Evil Dead, I'm like, fucker, there ain't nothing funny about the original Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2, sure, there's some jokes. And Army of Darkness is filled with it. But the first one, that was a straight fucking horror film.
Yes, very vicious horror film. And a lot of Sam Raimi's techniques, which he still uses today, he showcased in that movie, and shots like that hadn't been done before in horror movies. I mean, some of the things that he did, some of the spinning the camera and some of the crazy shit he did, it was definitely low budget filmmaking at its finest. Mm-hmm. But you don't see that stuff anymore. I mean, you don't see that many filmmakers that take those kind of chances or make the most out of what money they have. He did a fantastic job for its time. Unfortunately, it is one of those movies where it doesn't hold up as well if you didn't see it when it came out. I can still watch it and feel the same about it, but if you show it to like somebody young, they're going to be like, this sucks. But hopefully this movie will introduce that to a new generation.
And was that his first movie or?
His first, yeah.
Feature movie or whatever? Because that was the first one that had that
He
car.
did short films and stuff, but yeah.
That's when the first one had his car in it too, right?
His Buick, the old Buick that's been in almost every movie he's made.
Yeah.
All right, guys, of these 5 films coming out April 5th, Six Souls, The Brass Teapot, The Company You Keep, Jurassic Park and IMAX 3D Experience, and Evil Dead, which ones are you most likely to go see in the theater first? Aaron?
Evil Dead, and Evil Dead, and Evil Dead. I'm going to see it all 3 times in one weekend.
Scotty?
Evil Dead, but if Evil Dead weren't there, it would be Jurassic Park.
Well, I didn't ask you if it wasn't there.
I'm just saying. I really want to see Jurassic Park is my point.
Well, Evil Dead, but if not that, Jurassic Park.
Shut
and
the
if
fuck
that's
up.
not there, and if that one's not there, I'm going to probably go with The Company You Keep, but then probably might go with The Six Souls. If nothing else is there, I'll probably just rent that on iTunes.
Nothing for Brass Teapot.
I think the Evil Dead wins.
All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little
riff,
because I'm not letting y'all do that next week. Evil Dead, so it is 4 against nothing. The Evil Dead book Necronomicon wins this week.
Mm-hmm. Ho pick of the week. Where to hear us? Subscribe on iTunes, Zune, Google Reader while it still lasts. Your Stitcher Radio app, give us a thumbs up if you do, or any plain old RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we'll play ours or a listener-suggested clip from a movie. If you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com or send us a direct message on Twitter at @H_outsider. We will announce those that got it correct in the air and give you a proper ho shout-out. Last week's answer was Brian's pick, and it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yep.
People that got it correct. Sean M., Michael H., Stephanie C., another Sean M., not the same one, Michael B., D.A. Cheney, Also, last week, Jessie M. got Lady Killers. We recorded a day early, so when she sent it in...
You brought your bitch to the Waffle Hut?
That'll just never stop playing.
Oh, it never stops being funny.
It doesn't.
It does not. Well, this week, it is my turn. So here is my clip.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick. It's a 12-gauge double-barreled Remington. S-Mart's top of the line. You can find this in the sporting goods department. That's right, this sweet baby was made in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Retails for about $109.95. It's got a walnut stock, cobalt blue steel, and a hair trigger. That's right, shop smart. Shop S-Mart. You got that?
You primitive screwheads, listen up.
He sounds so young, too. For real.
He was so young. Now let's go to the couch, where we're talking about TV and home video news. Spotify is now looking to get into the streaming business. Is there too many cooks in this kitchen?
Well, I love competition. All right. I like the idea that all of these different companies are trying out this new thing of streaming video. It's great because the more that do it drives price down, drives innovation. But you get to a point where different companies only want to work with particular streamers, and so you can't just have one. You pretty much have to pay, whether it's $5 or $10 a month, to all of them to make sure you get all your stuff covered. And then basically you're just back to practically having a satellite or cable membership again. But we'll see how it goes. Spotify has gotten a lot of traction with their audio streaming service. I am a paying member. I love the vast amount of music that they have available. They're going to be joining Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, HBO, and all these guys in the space. We'll see how it goes. But they're coming into a pretty crowded field already. Just to see how they want to innovate and what they're going to offer for what price.
The advantage I can see is that they already do music. So, I mean, if they can
they
combine...
have some architecture in place.
Yeah, and if they combine that, that could be a little bit more inclusive than what Netflix currently has or even Hulu.
Right.
Well, and with music, you're more prone to listen to the music over and over again. Whereas movies, you may watch once or twice, maybe 5 times.
Oh, my friend, it depends on the movie.
Yeah.
That's true, but I mean, you create playlists and that kind of stuff on Spotify and stuff that you listen to on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Right.
With the film, you've got such a broader range of new stuff that you're going to see more often, and I like that, and I like the model. But like Justin said, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. Usually, when there's more competition, it's better for us consumers. Mm-hmm. But it like he said, I don't like having to go to all the different places. I want a one-stop shop at the same time, but you can't get the best of both worlds.
I agree. I mean, I'm not going to switch. I'm going to stay with one thing. I stay with Netflix for now. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens in the future. I think Amazon Prime is really making some steps. In fact, segue, they have ordered the pilot for Zombieland. Amazon Prime has. You know that news we mentioned weeks ago? Well, they've actually officially announced it, even though we broke it weeks ago, along with several other pilots. And then they're going to throw them all up, and they're going to let Prime members determine which ones go to series.
Whatever. We're at the kind of the precipice of this kind of new age as far as how we access our entertainment. So I don't want to, I guess, blast it too much, but because this may be the way this may be the way it is for the next 50 years or something like that. I Prime is jumping in. They're throwing their hat in the ring. Netflix had a big hit with what's the show that you guys like, that the Kevin Spacey one?
House of Cards.
House of Cards, right? And I guess they're kind of trying to do the same thing here with Zombieland. So, and a few others. I don't know.
I'll be honest, Brian. I like this idea. I think it's great. They create several pilots. You watch it, and then the viewers determine what should go to series. I think that's a great idea because, for once, the content is in control of the consumer as opposed to, well, we're just going to make 13 episodes. They're going to air 2 of them. Then the show's going to be yanked off the air because nobody wants to fucking watch it.
Yeah, but then they're going to start blaming us when shit doesn't work right.
They blame us just now. Fool, you crazy fool. at least it's a different idea. I'm all for any kind of television that tries to be innovative. It seems like they're trying to do something different. Mm-hmm. I'll give them credit. Rumors keep flying that Jimmy Fallon is going to take Jay Leno's Tonight Show spot in 2014. And Leno has been making NBC our bitches jokes all week long. Do you guys think it's time for Jay Leno to just go away?
Absolutely. I was tired of Leno before the whole Conan debacle, like this past 2012. I've never seen a TV show host that looks like he's reading cue cards as much as Jay Leno does. Like I know that the hosts don't actually write their own stuff on these shows. Mm-hmm. Leno obviously doesn't write his own stuff, and it's so obvious just watching him. But also, I actually like Fallon.
Leno's actually a really good stand-up comedian. His stand-up is much different from what you see on the Tonight Show.
Well, it's probably stuff he's
right.
written.
And like you say, everybody's got their own writers. They do have input on what the jokes are. But, I mean, for the record, and all the talk about how Jimmy Fallon should take over or should not take over, whatever your side of the fence you're on, Leno was still beating Fallon as far as ratings goes.
Well, yeah, but that's just
as
because
late.
the people who watch him are the old crusty fuckers that can't change a channel.
That whatever the case is, he's getting the ratings that are more than Fallon.
So flip-flop them and see what happens.
So you can't flip-flop them because Leno's getting the ratings that's more than Fallon's.
That's true.
I mean,
Then why does NBC want to get rid of him?
They want to make it younger and fresher and all that stuff, and I don't blame them for that.
Right.
But,
so then what are you arguing?
I'm arguing that the fact that why get rid of Leno when he's beating the guy that you want to replace him with? Why take number 2 when you've got number 1?
Because unfortunately, I think that what it is that Jay Leno represents kind of the waning of the old guard. His show is in a lot of ways the same sort of show that Johnny Carson did way back in the day. I mean, he's not innovating in any way. And while he may be getting ratings, the people who watch him are dying.
That's
Eventually,
fine. And you're right. Sooner or later,
NBC wants to get somebody in place now to take over that spot so that when all the AARP members who are watching Jay Leno are gone, they've got a guy that's there, established, and me as a new AARP member is comfortable with.
And I think what happened is, and I love Conan. I really do love Conan. I think when they switched, I know, when they switched them, Conan didn't bring in the ratings that they thought he was going to bring in. He just didn't. And Fallon has, for whatever reason, proven himself, and he's shown over time that he does bring in viewers at that slot more than Conan brought in. And so they're comfortable that he can translate to older viewers more than Conan did. Because Conan's humor, for whatever reason, stayed very, very young and hip and didn't appease the older viewers as well, where they think Fallon can hit both targets.
Well, and let me give you an example,
Conan's a ginger, and he has no soul. So that's another strike against him.
I want to give you an example,
like
too.
Like you said, they were confident at the time that Conan could take over and not skip a beat. They were wrong.
They're usually wrong.
They are usually wrong. Scotty, what were you trying to say before Brian rudely interrupted you?
I don't think you heard me say
I
that.
rudely interrupted him.
But you both did.
I don't care.
You still interrupted him.
I'm going to give an example. And
I just interrupted again.
And I know that my family doesn't speak for the masses, but I can tell you from my personal experience that my wife and I will sit through Leno just to get to Fallon. We prefer Fallon over Leno. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how that would affect the numbers, because by my logic, yes, if you're watching Leno, then the numbers would even out because I'm also watching Fallon, sure. But I much rather watch Fallon. He's more of my sense of humor. I like he does a self-deprecating thing like Conan does, but he seems more genuine to me than Conan, where Conan seems more like he's going through the motions nowadays. And Fallon's stuff his sketches are genuinely funny to me. Even like the stuff that's rehashed, but he does a different spin on it each week, like the history of rap with Justin Timberlake was hilarious. The slow jam the news, thank you notes, the hashtag games.
Funny.
Those are so funny, and they're almost like mini Saturday Night Live skits on a late night show. And what does Leno do? He does jaywalking.
And that's true.
Look, that's fine. But until Fallon's ratings are higher than Leno's,
well, he won't, though.
You don't really have a leg to stand on.
That's not really a fair
Brian,
comparison.
I feel like you've got a dog in this fight, though, and I'm not quite sure what dog it is.
Kind of a recurring theme this evening, isn't it, dogs?
Well, it seems like you, from your tone, that you're like a Leno guy.
Honestly, I don't watch any of them.
I don't either, to be honest.
I'll be honest with you. At 12 o'clock at night, I could give a fuck who's telling jokes.
I watch what pops up on YouTube that people say is funny, which is more often than not Fallon.
Right. And we should address Jimmy Kimmel just moved back a half an hour, and that's a big part of it too, because he skews a lot younger, and they don't want to lose that audience, so they know Jimmy Fallon will bring it in. So if they move Fallon back, give him Leno's spot, get him situated for the Tonight Show gig, they start taking away Kimmel's viewers, because Kimmel is going to cut in to Jay.
I don't like Kimmel.
A lot of people do. A lot of people like Kimmel.
Yeah, I mean, right. A lot of people do. He's not my cup of tea necessarily either, but...
Don't you think that his time slot kind of hurts him too?
That's what I was wanting to allude to. His slot affects his viewers. He's never going to have more than Leno at that slot.
After midnight is when the show ends, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and on the East Coast, it's like 1:30 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't stay up late and watch TV that late. I don't know about y'all.
Well,
there's the accent. Y'all.
Y'all. Well, I mean, and I guess that's kind of where I come into, is just that I don't stay up that late watching these guys. I don't.
Well, stop defending the motherfucker. All right, let's go.
But it makes no sense to sit there and wave the banner to replace him with Fallon.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Leno is beating him, and
But he'll never not beat him because of his time slot is earlier. As long as he's earlier, Fallon cannot beat him. I think Leno is a self-obsessed fucker, so whatever.
Well, and my last word on this, though, is about his remarks about NBC. If they're willing to let him say whatever he wants, he's more than has the right to say it. But I think the way that he's handling it on the air is really childish.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, have some fucking dignity. Yeah,
they've already ousted him once.
They didn't oust him. They bought him. He elected to leave, and then he got a sweet deal out of it.
He elected to leave.
Nah, fuck that, dude. He left. They gave him a prime slot where they put him on every single fucking night, 4 nights a week at 9 o'clock. Or 10 o'clock, whatever it was. Put him on after every show. It failed miserably. It made NBC no money, but he was going to leave, and they were afraid that, well, you know what? He would do better than Conan did, so they brought him back to that slot, fucked Conan out of there, and he was more than happy to fuck Conan over. I cannot let you sit there.
Unite.
Yes, you cannot sit there and let it sound like, oh, he got screwed the last time. Fuck that. He got a sweet deal, and he couldn't pull it through. He couldn't pull it. Nobody wanted to watch him every single night like that, not in prime time.
And he's still good enough to where they felt like they could give him that slot back, and he's still the number one guy.
I'm
not
arguing.
Number one guy. Then be number one. Act number one. Don't act like a child that just had something taken away from him, and he's just going to make sarcastic jokes at his employer's expense on their show. To me, it looks classless. I have no dog in this fight. I don't give a fuck. I don't watch any of these shows. Right. And Jay Leno makes more money in his comedy than he does actually from the show. So it's not a money issue either.
Actually, everything that he makes from his stand-up actually goes to charity and stuff.
The fact of the matter, I mean, and he took a pay cut so that his employees could get paid more. The point of it is that for Leno, this really isn't a money issue. Right. It's something else. But whatever it is, all I see from the outside is him looking really bitchy. And I expect more
here, folks. Let me tell you,
I expect more from a guy of his stature than to just make little comments that I would expect out of a seventh grader.
Let's go to Justin Happy News. The Wachowskis, the Matrix Wachowskis.
Oh shit, I'm stroking already.
Have joined up with Netflix to produce Sense8, the 10-episode series that will stream exclusively on Netflix in late 2014.
Yeah, of course, I thoroughly washed the balls and vulva of the Wachowski siblings when Cloud Atlas, the best film of last year, came out. But now there's news that they have teamed with Netflix. Yeah, I said balls and vulva. Not only are the Wachowskis going to be doing a television show that's going to be airing on Netflix, 10-episode order next year, but they are pairing with Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski, the creator of one of my top 5 television shows of all fucking time. I mean, if you guys accuse me of sucking Joss Whedon's cock on a regular occasion. J. Michael Straczynski is getting a handy pretty thoroughly as well. Babylon 5 is one of my favorite shows. The fact that he and his studio are going to be working with the Wachowskis to make this TV show, which apparently it's set in the future, of course, and it's about a global tale of minds linked and souls hunted called Sense8. It sounds so fantastic, and these creators coming together. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's this. Yeah, sold. Please give it to me now. I don't want to wait a year to watch this.
Justin's having a nerdgasm.
Oh, God. It's like if Michael Bay were to make a Joss Whedon script based on a Stephen King story.
God.
It's so awesome.
I'm glad you're happy, sir.
Oh, it sounds so good.
We just wanted to give him a minute so he can get that out of his system.
Please don't let me die before this comes out. I need this. I'm living for this.
You had to use that phrase, didn't you?
All right, let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scotty.
We're looking at releases for April 2nd. First up is John Dies at the End. Both Justin and Aaron reviewed this one back on episode 77. Justin gave it a $4 out of 10. Aaron gave it a $5.50. A new street drug that sends its users across time and dimensions has one drawback. Some people turn as no longer human. Can two college dropouts save humankind from this silent, otherworldly invasion? Guess you'll have to spend $4 or $5.50 respectively to find out. Next up is Love.
Touche, sir.
Which is spelled L-U-V. This is about an 11-year-old boy who gets a crash course in what it means to be a man when he spends a day with his ex-convict uncle that he idolizes.
Wait, what? That does not sound like a positive movie.
It's called L-U-V Love. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The Sweeney, a hardened detective in the flying squad of London's Metropolitan Police. This is based on the 70s UK television show. And lastly, we've got the Baytown Outlaws. When three redneck brothers agree to help a woman save her son from an abusive father, they become targets in the run from an odd cast of characters. And with that, we'll move on to our bi-weekly segment, Recasting the Classics. Justin, can you give us a quick rundown on what that is before you pass it off?
Recasting the Classics is our bi-weekly, as you said, segment where one of us hoes hands off to another hoe a classic film in which the other hoe must then recast 4 of its characters with new actors and actresses. They can stick close to the format or they can go far afield. All they have to do really, though, is explain why they made the choices that they made. 2 weeks ago, Brian handed me The Princess Bride, and he wanted me to recast this one. He wanted me to recast Wesley / the Dread Pirate Robert, the Princess Bride character herself, Buttercup, Inigo Montoya, and Prince Humperdinck. I got to tell you, I'm a little unsure how my list is going to go down, especially my final selection. I'm anticipating some hate. We'll have to see if that holds true.
We don't have to anticipate. You can just do it.
It can't be any worse than my last
than
selection.
Your Maverick?
Than my Maverick pick.
Fuck no, it can't.
I don't know, bro. We'll see. We'll see how you guys do. All right. First, we're going to go with Prince Humperdinck. In the original film, this character was played by Chris Sarandon, who I think before that movie, the only thing he had really done of note was to play the vampire in Fright Night. Mm-hmm. In this film, though, I chose for Prince Humperdinck Robert Downey Jr.
I like that.
I think he's funny.
Yeah.
He is self-effacing. I think that he could take that part and really just play up a lot of himself and bring himself down a peg. It's a kind of role that the guy taking it has to know going in, I'm going to be the butt of most of these jokes, so let's just take it for all it's worth. And I think Robert Downey Jr. would do a really good job of that. For Inigo Montoya, of course, that role is probably, I think, next to the Dread Pirate Roberts, and maybe even over him, is the most famous character in that movie. You know, the whole "you killed my father, prepare to die." I went with a guy who's more known for his television work, and it's a name most people probably don't recognize right off the bat. His name is Kevin Alejandro. Most people would know him from True Blood. He plays the lover of Lafayette in that show.
Oh, okay.
He has a really good look to him. I think he's definitely got the athleticism. He would probably just have to go through a pretty extensive sword fighting kind of training so that he could be up to par with the original. But I think the guy's definitely got the chops, the look, and the vibe for Inigo Montoya. So I'd be really
he had like a small, I think a small part in Red State or something.
Yes, he sure did. He's done mostly television work, but he has done a little bit of film too. So this might be one of those roles that was kind of a breakout role for him. Now, Buttercup, the Princess Bride herself. Of course, I'm tempted. Jennifer Lawrence, but done her way too many times. There's a lot of people I could have put, but the woman that I chose to play Buttercup is Emilia Clarke.
Oh, from Game of Thrones.
All right. Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was afraid people might not recognize the name. Emilia Clarke plays in
Daenerys.
Game of Thrones. She plays Daenerys Targaryen.
Mm-hmm.
In the TV show, she has her hair dyed almost like a platinum blonde. But I've seen pictures of her in her original brunette hair color. She looks just as lovely, if not more so. And I think if she were to change her hair color so that it didn't look like her Game of Thrones character, it would really play. I think she's got a cuteness to her and a freshness to her that Buttercup needs. And so that's kind of why I chose her. Now, oh God, for Wesley.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. In the original Princess Bride, Wesley was played by Carrie Elwes.
Elwes. I actually know how to pronounce that.
Okay.
Jesus.
I had never really heard of him before that film. Since then, he's gone on to do quite a few things, but he never really rose to huge prominence. He was in the first Saw. Of course, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, which was fucking dreadful.
He's been in Psych several times. I'm just saying.
Yeah, whatever.
He wasn't in Lost, so fuck him. My choice to play Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to find somebody that I thought was handsome, charming, looked about the same age as the woman that I chose to play Buttercup, and someone that could really take this role and make it something a little unique and surprising, and could maybe get back into the hearts of some fans who liked him when he originally played in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I am, of course, picking Robert Pattinson.
What?
For Wesley. I think a lot of people have come to hate him in the Twilight films, but when you watch what he did in the Goblet of Fire and in the earlier Harry Potter movies, he had a lot of fun in those movies. I think all his fun was sucked out of him to play this piece of shit role in the Twilight films. But I still think the guy's got a lot of charisma, and I think he's got a lot of talent that he was just kind of forced to get rid of to be in those movies. I think he could take this role and just use it to show people what he's really, once again, capable of. I know it's a controversial choice. Not a lot of people are going to like it. I think the guy's got talent. Because
you give me the benefit of the doubt with the Zac Efron,
Suck up.
I've got to do the same. I can see your logic at work, and I'm all right. I'm kind of cool with it.
Good for you. I don't like that one, but the rest of them I thought were great.
From the guy who's seen every Twilight movie in the theater.
I was really tempted to go with the younger
Whatever,
Hemsworth.
Chicago.
Really tempted to go with the younger Hemsworth. Yeah. Guy, of course, who was in the Hunger Games.
Liam.
Liam.
That would have been a much better choice.
I think he could do it as well, but I feel like Robert Pattinson needs a redeeming role, and I think playing this kind of character would give him that opportunity.
I have never seen anything that he has done that even hints that he can pull that off. I'm not. I
really enjoyed him in the Goblet of Fire, and I think the guy could do it. I really think he could.
Let's go to From the Outside In. Wait! You got to hand it off to me.
Don't fucking run off from me. Well, it's you.
Okay.
You, Aaron. I want you to sit your ass down.
I am sitting my ass down.
Earlier, I mentioned a film, and now you're going to recast it.
Okay.
I
Well,
want you to recast Sneakers.
all right.
I want you to recast Robert Redford's Martin. I want you to recast Sidney Poitier's Donald. I want you to recast River Phoenix as Carl. And I also want you to recast the role, of course, of the villain in this film. And I'm completely forgetting his name. Motherfucker, shit, goddamn asshole.
Ben
What is it?
Kingsley. That's-
Yes.
Not Mother? You don't want me to recast Mother?
No, I want you to go with Ben Kingsley's character, Cosmo.
Okay. I'll get it done. I'll get her done. Now our From the Outside In topic. That'll be in 2 weeks. From the Outside In topic. Does your fan love, whether it be Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Evil Dead, video games, whatever it is, does it hinder or hurt when you watch a property? For example, when The Hobbit came out, did you give it more or less criticism from the last film because you see it as the property of a similar vein, Lord of the Rings? Or you see something like Aragon, do you compare it unfavorably because it doesn't live up to anything close to Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing? Let's talk about geek cred. Justin, you're the number one geek cred guy I can think of. I mean, you just squeed about the Wachowskis and how their series is going to be fantastic, and you haven't seen anything really about a description. Does that help or hinder when you watch a movie?
It really depends on how able someone is to remove themselves from expectation. We as geeks, I think one of the defining characteristics of a geek is passion. And a lot of times that passion is great, but it can also be a disservice because suddenly we expect more out of things, or we expect particular things out of a movie or a TV show. And when those things aren't given to us, it really pisses us off and causes us to hate it. And, when the Lord of the Rings films were first being shot and people were learning about the things that weren't going to be in it, I mean, how many people bitched that Tom Bombadil and his whole arc wasn't going to be in the books, that those songs and whatnot weren't going to be in the books? Our passion can really do a lot of good and it can do a lot of bad. But if we can't step away from it and let something, judge it for what it is and not for what it could have been or we think might have should have been, then it works against us.
Now, do you think you give it unfair praise when it's not warranted? Ever?
I think that my love of space opera and geekiness can cause me to enjoy things that maybe your more mainstream viewer wouldn't love. And so to them, I would be overpraising or overrating something. For example, Speed Racer. Most people thought that film was shit. They didn't like it. They didn't go back to it. I fucking loved it. And it's not because of the Wachowskis so much as it was the color palette and the zaniness and the fact that they took that cartoon, brought it into the real world, quote unquote, and really made it work. And I never would have thought it would. And it was so fun. But I think a lot of that love comes from my ability to do that, to love something that a lot of people would just look at and go, Jesus Christ, is this an LSD trip caught on film or what?
And there's nothing wrong with that. If you like the film, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, source material or not. Mm-mm. Who cares? I mean, I don't have to tell this to you, but who cares what anybody else thinks if you give it too much praise? If you enjoyed it, more power to you.
There's a lot of people that seem to harp down on geeks. I'll just say geek. We're all geeks. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a geek. If you're on this podcast, you're a geek. If you're Scott Clark, you're something special.
What?
But people harp on geeks because they love these things and they don't understand why they love. Lord of the Rings. It's so childish or it's ridiculous or whatever they want to talk about. Star Wars, same thing. For me, it's horror films like Evil Dead. I'm not as much into the fantasy elements as you guys. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand why. I understand, I guess, because they don't get it, so therefore they don't understand it. But when you're a geek, if you really love something, like we've talked about Evil Dead and how much I adore it, you put Bruce Campbell in anything, and I'll watch it, and I'll probably give it more of a pass than anybody else would, even because he's been in mostly shit. 90% of what he's been in has been shit. Army of Darkness, not a great movie, and I still love it because of, it's some of the geek qualities of it. I don't understand why people don't appreciate that, hey, it's just what you love. Just like these women with Twilight, it's no different than that. Brian, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I can separate myself, even if I'm a huge fan, especially I'll use the Avengers. As long as I can remember, I've always read comic books. I've always loved and collected comic books until I got to where I had to pay bills and shit. So So to finally see one of my favorite comic books and hero teams on the big screen and done right, I was blown away. And I even, it was one of those things to where I even separated myself as, okay, how good is this? I didn't need every detail from the Avengers on the big screen. I liked how they set everything up. It was just a very entertaining movie. And I just kind of look as my fandom being being able to enjoy it on a different level than your average viewer. Your average person wouldn't pick up on little things. So at the beginning of the movie, you see Stark Tower, and it's the big A is shaped in the Avenger A, like the A is on the comic books. I picked up on that. Kind of saw it. Kind of foreshadowed something, happens later on in the movie. So it helps me appreciate a movie more. But really, I can kind of, because I know that a movie has they've got to hit a certain criteria that the books don't. So I can actually pull myself away from that and watch it a little bit more objectively. So,
but wait a minute, is it fair to say that about the Avengers, a movie that made over $1 billion, that you like that movie? You know what I'm saying? I don't say that. I'm not saying that you're wrong, that we like that movie, but give an example from my perspective. As you alluded to earlier, I'm the biggest video game geek here, and I'm from the mindset of people that video game culture doesn't have a solid AAA made a good amount of money film. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got Resident Evil, you got your Silent Hills, but they did okay. Mm-hmm. I have nothing like that, but I can still enjoy those movies and separate that and watch those independently, and neither one's going to ruin the other experience. Granted, mostly I don't like a lot of the films that way. I found that, especially since I've gotten involved with you guys in the podcast, that kind of thing, I watch a lot more movies in the last couple of years than I have in my entire life, obviously.
Because you were grounded, apparently.
But, yes, grounded. So, me personally, it does affect me because I'm gonna be more apt to go see something because of the source material. But I think I've gotten to the habit where I can separate it. I think the true test for me will be like the summer, not to stir up controversy here, but Ender's Game is a book that I have read over 20 years ago. That I didn't grow up reading Lord of the Rings and stuff like you guys did. And when I see a film adaptation of a book that I read that long ago, and I finally see it to film, that's going to be the true test for me to see, am I going to enjoy it even though it's not 100% true to the book, that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's understandable. And I think I can separate it too. I'm more of an actor akin. Like if Kurt Russell's in it, I'm probably blind to a lot of shit. Bruce Campbell's in it, I'm blind to a lot of shit. But movies themselves, like we went and saw Die Hard. Brian and I went and saw Die Hard. Even though I love that franchise, one of my favorite franchises, I can discount that movie pretty quickly because I thought it was a shoddy movie. And I don't think you have to be blind to something to still enjoy the property it's based on. But for some reason, there are times where I think some of the geeks in the world, Harry Knowles is one where I think he does this quite a bit. It's Ain't It Cool News, where he doesn't separate himself from his love of things. Like if he loves something, even if the movie is just passable, he raves about it. And I'm not knocking him. I mean, that's his taste, and more power to him for enjoying it. But that's definitely not my wheelhouse. If a movie is generally bad, I can at least admit, it's not a great movie, but so-and-so's great about it. I'm great to see that property brought to life. But a lot of geeks can't do that.
If a person qualifies it as saying, you know what, I am an irrational fan of this movie. Because I love whatever the property was that it's based on, video games, comic books, a previous movie or TV show, whatever the case is. If they say, you know what, I absolutely love this property, and I'm telling you that before I give you this review, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and the name for that's fanboy. And right. A lot of people used to use that as a derogatory kind of label to say, well, then, you obviously have no rational ability to discuss this biased. But I take ownership of my fanboyism. I have never shied away from my love of the Star Wars films and my appreciation for Lucas and what he created. Hell, even the prequels, there are things that I can find to love about them. Even in The Phantom Menace, there's a couple of things worth loving. So I don't hide from my biases. I don't disguise them. I don't believe in the idea, though, also of guilty pleasures. I don't feel guilty about shit. I like what I like, and if you don't like it, that's on you. But whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, if I enjoy it, I enjoy it, and I'm not going to sit here and equivocate on why I should or shouldn't. I just do. And fanboys are people who do that. And fuck it. Fanboys unite.
I want to share with you guys something that I actually read in the past couple months, and you guys probably have seen it.
Oh, I thought you were going to give us all some deep secret.
No.
It's like, finally.
Finally.
Let me unload myself
on you guys. That closet is free. Equal symbol for Scott. Equal symbol for Scott.
Oh, my God. No. You guys here have probably seen it, but there's a quote that's been attributed to Simon Pegg all over the internet about geekdom. And I always thought it was really cool. And he says, being a geek is all about being honest about what you enjoy and not being afraid to demonstrate that affection. It means never having to play it cool about how much you like something. It's basically a license to proudly emote on a somewhat childish level rather than behave like a supposed adult. Being a geek is extremely liberating. I love that. And that's exactly what it's all about. There's nothing wrong with being a geek. It's about being what you love. And if we can separate that between the movies, even if you can't, who cares? If you like a movie because it has a nostalgia factor or makes you think about how it was to be a kid, all more power to you.
What I don't get are the people that just have anger about it. Like, you love something, obviously you can't separate it for whatever reason. Spider-Man's that way for me. It's really hard to make me say negative things about Spider-Man because I love Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But people that, for whatever reason, they have to hate on you for that. Because you're so much into whatever that culture is. You're into Battlestar Galactica. It's changed a little bit over the course of the last 10 years or so. Probably Big Bang Theory is the most to thank for that.
Yeah, right.
But there's still a lot of people that just rip on you for loving geek shit. And I still don't understand why that hasn't changed.
The greatest form
changed.
I think it's almost the opposite. I think it's cool to be geek. It's cool to be a fanboy of just about anything.
I agree with Brian. When I was a kid, and of course now I'm going to sound crusty and old and, get off my lawn and pull up your pants. But, back when I was a youngster in school, I was a huge reader, and you would always find me with a book in my hand, and I got no end of shit about carrying books around, and people kind of looked down on me and made jokes about it. I played Dungeons and Dragons, and Jesus, living in Texas, I got, again, no end of shit about that. And I was into video games, and I was into Star Wars. So luckily, because my dad was in the military, I got to move around and meet a lot of people who shared a lot of the loves that I did. But whenever I had to move back to the South while my dad was in between where he was being transferred off to, I lived in a small Texas town and had to eat shit for a lot of the stuff. What's interesting now, though, is a lot of those people that I went to school with that would have given me shit, now I know them on Facebook and rekindled some friendships, and they couldn't be happier that the dream that I set out for myself to be a writer is coming true. And a lot of them are reading the books that I read. And geek culture that used to be something that was kind of, you were ashamed of it, is almost, I would have to say, almost mainstream. Every big budget film, or most of the films that make the big money are geek movies, whether it's a comic book or a fantasy. Those things are geek culture. Those things are on the rise. Yeah, Brian's right. Almost if you're not a geek, you're the outsider.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough. I wasn't speaking more to the mainstream. I was speaking more to those people that still have to put you down for loving those things.
Fuck them. Come see me. I'll kick them in the butt.
Now, what do you guys think? Does that ever hinder when you go see a movie? Like, say it has a similar plot to The Matrix, for speaking to you, Justin, or to Lord of the Rings or something. Does that detract you from enjoying the movie because you're like, fucking Jackson did it better, or the Wachowskis do it better?
No, really the only time my geekiness has worked against me in a film, and we talked about it earlier, though I didn't say anything then because I knew this was coming up, Independence Day, and we made jokes about the whole Mac thing. Mm-hmm. That, if for some reason, even though I was accepting of everything up until that moment, as soon as he opened that Mac laptop and was able to establish a Wi-Fi connection with that alien ship, something in my head broke.
Above
And it
the
was
earth.
like, from that moment on, I was like, fuck this movie. And I don't know why. I understand. I am accepting interstellar aliens and their ability to cross light years and
I
force
accept
fields.
the White House no longer exists.
Yeah, I accept all this, but damn it,
I know you ain't
Wi-Fi.
getting a Wi-Fi connection.
I know you're not establishing an HTTP connection with that alien ship that does not have HTTP on it. And then you're uploading a virus?
Wasn't he uploading it manually?
Yeah, he was. He had a router. He had a router on board too.
No, I'm sorry. There was just something about that my mind just said, no.
That ship was connected to the mothership. You know that, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was in the mothership. That's why he connected. Just being there. It's technology.
It's that IT geek in me that for some reason just couldn't accept it. And so it kind of worked against me. I loved Earth and everything else, but that one thing has always just kind of stuck up in my gums like a fucking piece of gristle that just won't go away and prohibits me from just unfettered love of that film.
Of all the things.
I know. Trust me.
And I gotta say, the most underrated actor in that movie, Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, sure.
Keep the tires
whatever.
and light the
Time
fires,
to
Big
kick the
Daddy.
tires and like the fives, Big Daddy.
I don't know if underrated actor is what I would use, but
Well,
you
all
know,
right, maybe the least mentioned guy. He was one of my favorite characters.
let's
I
go
thought
to
you were gonna say Brett Spiner.
let's go to emails. We got quite a few emails. If you guys want to comment on the world of the geek, feel free to email us or throw it on Facebook, and we'll read that too. Before we go to Justin's email, I have a Facebook post to read. It says, Aaron, Hollywood Outsider. I just correct. She didn't say Aaron. My name is written, and I read it like Anchorman.
Because you read everything like Ron Burgundy. Yeah.
I'm Ron Burgundy?
Yep. I just cracked up laughing out loud at work listening to episode 84 when you guys busted out singing Disney songs. A few heads turned in my direction. Whoops, blush. And also, on episode 85, as you guys were bickering, about the colony and the thing, I think Aaron was going to discuss something about the X-Files episode. I'm thinking maybe Ice. She's correct. And I'm curious what he was going to add about the episode, since it's one of my favorite episodes. I wonder if he liked it or was going to diss it. D.A. Cheney. What I was going to say is it's one of my favorite TV episodes of all time, not just X-Files. X-Files is probably one of my top 5 favorite shows of all time, so believe me, there was no knock or diss coming whatsoever. I was going to say that the colony, when they cut me off, thank you for appreciating the fact that they cut me off, by the way. I appreciate that, because she listens
You
thoroughly.
did.
Shut the up.
Did you just edit yourself?
Yeah, I didn't.
He's that lazy that it'll save him that time when he's editing this afterwards.
The colony very much looks like that episode Ice, and I thought they did it much better than what I saw in that trailer, so that's what I was alluding to. Yes, thank you for catching that, and I appreciate you listening so thoroughly to the show.
You make me want to break out my complete series collection of the X-Files. and
Just
watch
stop it.
again.
Stop at 7. That's all I'm
There's only
saying.
one episode worth watching over and over again, and that's the one with the hillbillies that's got the
Oh, that's so good.
The
Home.
inbreeding.
Home.
yeah
It's
the
called
inbreeders with the one that's the stumpy one that's on the
On the
it's on the
roller.
creeper, on the little rolling creeper
creeper.
underneath it.
Can I just tell you, my people from my work bought me a creeper one year. I swear to God.
Really?
'Cause I love that episode, and I would talk about it all the time about the creeper. It was called Home. And I came to work, and they had a creeper in my office. It was
That's funny.
it was hysterical.
That's funny.
I still got it somewhere.
But it's amazing that even people that really maybe just could care less about that show, not that it didn't necessarily not like it, but maybe they just weren't the biggest fans of it. But everybody remembers that episode.
It was a fucked up episode.
Yeah.
And Justin, you got an email?
This one comes in from Mark H. He says, Kickstarter for me is a symbol of the democratization of film TV production. I get uncomfortable when people start slandering others for how they spend their money. That said, people like to extrapolate. Veronica Mars will raise a few million, but in terms of films, that's not all that much. The Firefly pilot cost around $10 million alone. Last year, Kickstarter took in $275 million for all its collected projects. Even if that was pooled, it'd still only create one blockbuster. So I think naysayers are perhaps getting a little hyperbolic. My main concern has to do with the legal side. With a handful of scams already exposed and people creating Kickstarters for things like building a new garden, etc., I'm worried. The way I see it, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and all the rest are only one major lawsuit away from disappearing entirely. What do you think? Love, Mark H. Well, for one, the Veronica Mars Kickstarter actually just crossed over the $4 million barrier today, so they've already gotten twice what they were asking for. So, woot woot, I think that'll make for a better film. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Kickstarters are now coming up with for all sorts of things that have little to do with, you know, some kind of entrepreneurial spirit and more just to give me money. And it wouldn't take much, especially in the way of bad press, for these things to suddenly start being ignored. But I think that with Kickstarter and Indiegogo developing and prospering, it wouldn't surprise me if there weren't more of these kinds of crowdfunding sites created so that if one were to fail, the others might continue.
I couldn't agree more. I think there is, what he's speaking about the lawsuit, there is a very easy potential for that to happen. And I think if something comes out of this and makes a ton of money, there's probably going to be at some point where people that backed it are going to say, well, where's my portions? You know, where's my profit, et cetera, et cetera. That's where I see some definite legal issues coming. I'm sure Kickstarter has some kind of legalese on their site that covers all that. I have no idea what it is. But I hope they do. I hope they've got it locked down, because I would like to see people still continue to get their content produced.
We need a Kickstarter police here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Scotty, you got two of them, actually.
All right. This one comes from Stephanie C. She says, "Hi, Snookums." I believe this is directed towards you.
I like when people call me Snookums.
Yeah, apparently. The answer is Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Justin, I love the adventures of Briscoe County Jr. Love it. The podcast rocks. Steph. Also, Mike B. writes and says, "Hey, hoes. I'm not sure if it's too late to comment on the What's That Movie clip, but I believe we were listening to Who Framed Roger Rabbit." Congrats, Mike. You were correct. Also, I just watched the newest trailer for World War Z, and this thing looks fucking crazy. I don't know how true to the book it is because I've not read it, but it looks amazeballs. Thanks, Mike B.
I just like amazeballs.
I agree with Mike. I think I'm alone in that one, but I think the zombie pyramids
look
great.
These two yahoos want to see it too.
Yeah, I think it looks fucking kick-ass. It's a completely new take on zombies, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Damn straight, and that's the first time I've ever heard of amazeballs.
Brian, you got a quick one?
Yeah, it says this is from Sean M. It's just like, look, we're giving you the short one here. We're tired of hearing you talk. All right, it's from Sean M. It says Roger Rabbit, all-time favorite movie when I was ages 8 to 10. I'd love to see a sequel to this movie. That's it.
This one I was going to give it to Brian, but since he basically calls Brian awesome, I wasn't about to let him fucking read that.
You let Justin do it.
Oh, yeah. We can let you listen to,
Shut your whore mouth.
Freaking, Aaron this, Aaron that.
Do you want to read it? You're more than welcome to read it, Brian. Do you like to go?
By all means, you go ahead. I'd hate to ruin your mojo there.
Yes, Brian, Shakespeare movies. Whoop! Brenna rock. But the Joss Whedon Much Ado trailer clearly illustrates how hard that movie's gonna suck.
Fuck off.
What are you, trolling? None of the actors seemed to know what they were saying. They were just parrots repeating lines with no concept of their meaning. Compare that to Brenna's Much Ado trailer from 20 years prior and how well everyone but Keanu communicated meaning through meaningful line delivery, tone, motion, etc. If you like Shakespeare in modern times, you should look up the 2006 Macbeth with the Avatar dude in it. It's got action, gunplay, and titties. I don't write it, I just read it. Ethan Hawke did a decent modernized Hamlet. Denmark is a corporation, the king a CEO as well, which he's right. That's really cool if you guys haven't seen that. But this Whedon thing is going to blow, and it'll be a small black stain on his au revoir. Mark my words, J-Rock.
I believe it's oeuvre.
It's not oeuvre.
Yeah, it's actually
oeuvre.
oeuvre.
Is it really?
Oh, back up from the literary motherfucker. I'm right.
I think you said,
that's twice. I win.
think you said goodbye in French or something, didn't you? Au revoir.
That's
Au revoir.
Not oeuvre.
whatever.
That's good.
Well, first off, I'm J-Rock. All right, that is my fucking nickname. You don't steal that shit.
That's your nickname.
Second off, this movie is going to kick ass. I don't know what crack you've been smoking on, but the trailer you saw is not the trailer that the rest of us saw. And the best Hamlet modernization, Sons of Anarchy. Boom!
No, I'll give you Brandon.
Boom.
Brandon's
We're
better.
on such a roll. Sorry.
Sons of Anarchy kicks ass, and it is a great modern Hamlet.
I agree with that, but Branagh was better. What do you think, Brian? Since you kind of addressed
Ethan Hawke did a decent modernization of Hamlet.
He was decent, but Branagh's Hamlet blows the doors off of any version of Hamlet ever.
Well, sure, it's Branagh, but that's not a modernized Hamlet. His Hamlet took place in, what was it, the 1700s in France?
All right, modernized. I would have to say the Ethan Hawke one because it's a blatant Hamlet interpretation. So,
and I haven't seen much to do yet.
For those of us who want to think a little more, Sons of Anarchy.
Kenneth Branagh's version's really good. I mean, you can't deny it. I mean, he is the epitome of Shakespeare. The guy's got it right. Shakespeare's the guy. Branagh's the guy for Shakespeare, I should say.
His Henry V is magical.
Mm-hmm. But
all that speech.
Oh, the St. Crispin's Day speech.
Yeah,
so good.
Thanks for writing in, because anything that gets Justin pissed off, we like. And also from Twitter real quick, Junebug sent in, holy crap, I think this series of videos was made for you, and it's a pronunciation video for Saoirse Ronan. Because apparently none of us could fucking say that name correctly. And not just me, fuckers. Now, how you find us? Stay to the credits for outtakes. Go to www.thehollywoodoutsider.com, facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider. You can send us comments there, too. Just post on the Facebook page. Email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Tell your friends, subscribe on iTunes, Zune, Google Reader while it lasts. Listen on your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or any plain old RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com, Thursdays from 4 to 6. Holy shit. Thanks to each of the podcasters, being Brian Williams.
Abracadabra, Holmes.
Idiot. Justin McCumber.
Tell your friends, tell your wife, tell your friends, tell your wife.
And Scott Clark.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Oh, and Justin.
Ain't got time for that.
Justin, your audiobook should be coming pretty soon, right? For Minor Magic?
Yeah, I just listened to the final chapter that the narrator sent me. Sounds fantastic. Hopefully it should be coming out in 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. Oh, she did such a good job. For people who like their stories up in their ear holes and not their eye holes, I think you'll enjoy it.
Excellent. Next week we're going to review Evil Dead. And we'll do our annual after the credits, talk about the Walking Dead finale and the Game of Thrones premiere if we can. So come back for that. So remember, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.
You know what I think they should do when you go into the doctor's office to get a physical? They should give you a little fluff time. Fuck this dog.
Someday you really got to explain what that means.
That's Brian.
You guys are having way more fun with it than I am. I said it once.
I don't know if it's Brian or if it's Georgia.
Is it a Georgia saying? It's real big in Georgia. Shouldn't it be "Let's fuck this Walker"? Because that's kind of the big thing there. No, reaching.
Surprised I haven't gone that.
That was.
I can blame that on pain meds.
Is that going to be your excuse all night?
Yeah,
2 minutes ago, you just said that wore off.
Shut the fuck up, Brian. Justin wasn't here for that. That moment, I was thinking about Justin.
I was getting my thing set up to be queued up.
Whoa!
Glenn,
Whoa! What the fuck was that?
everything cool that Susan said, you wrecked it.
The hell? I didn't even touch anything.
That's what she said.
It went off.
It went off.
I didn't even touch anything.
I noticed in the movie news, though, you didn't mention anything about the casting on the Wonder Woman porn parody.
Yeah, I left that out.
I believe you left that out.
I left.
Did you ever watch the X-Files porn parody?
No, they fuck Scully.
Oh, she plays Scully. Oh, God. Fuck.
The truth is in there.
Oh, yeah, and he gets up in there.
Fuck, Brian, are you queued up?
Yep.
We got to wait for the
Do you have a delay?
Georgia delay.
Brian needs a quicker hand on that mute.
No, I had the mute button. That's all. I had to go. Never mind.
Don't worry.
I heard you in real time.
Don't worry. Feel free to mute it on a podcast. It's cool. This is the Hollywood Outsider, weekly entertainment podcast, where this week we're going to look at upcoming releases, including Jurassic Park 3D and Evil Dead. We're going to review Olympus Has Fallen. Our From the Outside In topic this week, does our geek love help or hinder our God damn it.